This video is brought to you by Thrive Market. Along the lines of the best NES games in the world, everyone has their least favorite NES games as well. Now, a while back we covered all the one-star games in this book. This is Pat Contre's Ultimate NES, or Ultimate Nintendo, Guide to the NES Library. If you haven't picked it up yet, find them at a convention or buy it online. Grab one of these. This belongs in every game collection ever. Very, very good book. Very well written. In fact, some of my friends wrote some of the articles in here too, so anyway. Yeah, grab it. And that was a few years ago, but then I started thinking to myself, well, what about my one-star games? So in this video, covering the one-star games for the NES, these are of my own opinion, and sometimes my opinion, well, it's not just like the game is like a one-star bad, but it's like a letdown. You know, you'll figure it out when you see the games. And if you could do me a huge, huge, huge favor, please hit the subscribe button. It does a world of wonder and does so good. Even if you watch this channel and I show up on your homepage and you're not subscribed yet, well, that's also YouTube yelling at you to hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Should we just go over some of the more obvious ones first? Well, let's start broken. Okay, Super Pitfall. The problem with this game, first, there's this forever black screen loading, hurry up, come on, let's play the game. Anytime, there we go. Okay, so you go down the ladder, the very first thing is you die. Now, if the bat didn't kill you, the spikes would have. That's the very first thing you do when you play this game. You have to know not to go down the ladder. But then when you rejuvenate, eventually, then now you're more in the catacombs section. I don't know, like the underground area. But everything's a one-hit kill. You only have so many bullets you can use. Good luck, having the bullets actually hit the enemy that you're trying to hit too, because sometimes it just goes right over them, or whatever it is, or you just jump and you miss jump, or it's a very, very rough game. So yes, I'm giving this a 1-star. Dr. Juckle and Mr Hide, famously bad game, but I will also add it on here too because I still can't figure it out. I've seen people play through this game, I've seen walkthroughs, I recently saw the Angry Video Game Nerd video where he actually goes through the game finally, and I was like, I didn't know you could even go inside the doors. Interesting. I never really thought about it. Maybe I wasn't really paying too much attention to the walkthroughs and stuff like that too. I was probably just skipping ahead anyway. But confusing, and I'm going to also judge these games based on if you do not have the instruction manual. Now, I'm not saying that every Nintendo game should have had a tutorial level. I'm glad they didn't, because you can figure it out. However, this game, I could never figure it out. You play long enough and everything like that, and eventually you turn into the monster, Mr. Hyde, if you will, and in this playthrough case, I didn't even start moving. Usually you start moving backwards and everything. This time I didn't even do that, so. Next, Marvel's XMen. Yeah, the Uncanny XMen. We can definitely talk about this one. I don't think it would be as bad of a game if I could just play by myself, without having the secondary person there that kind of gets in your way all the time. The enemies are relentless. The punching makes zero sense, depending on who you're playing as. Now, you can play as Iceman, you can play as Cyclops, and, have a little bit more attack when you shoot towards you and everything. But the enemies, there's too many of them, I think, and they just kind of get on you. Not very fun, not very creative. For being an X-Men game, too, this could have been really, really, really good. Unfortunately, not so much. Battle Chess makes its way because it's chess, but a much slower version of chess. Now, I've seen Queen's Gambit. I actually like that show quite a bit. More for the aesthetic and the music than anything else. And I'm okay with chess. Chess is one of those games, I like playing it, I'm not good at it. It's kind of like me and, challenging someone to a game of, Dr. Mario or Puyo Puyo, where it's like, I like playing it, I'm just not very good at it, and I'm not as competitive to be, really gung-ho about it. But unfortunately, this game just takes so long. I'm not saying it's a terrible game. No, I'm going to do a very stupid move here, just so I can show you that there are some kind of cool scenes. Like when you do overtake the character, it kind of goes through a little cutscene here. And depending on who you're playing as or whatever, that cutscene will change. Now, if you overclock this game, I'm going to speed up the footage here. I would be okay with this, but it's not that way. It's super slow. I'll put Lethal Weapon on this list as well for the NES. Super Nintendo version I actually kind of liked. This one, I kind of didn't. No, it's Lethal Weapon. You play as the classic duo here. Of course, I know Lethal Weapon because the guy's name is Riggs. You want to play as the other guy? That's fine. You want to play as Murtaugh? That's fine. You have to literally leave the screen, go all the way to the left, and eventually he'll come out. And now you play as him. You can't just, you can't do something as convenient as hitting the select button to change to the other person, or pausing it and then switching characters like you would on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, you actually have to literally leave, and then the other person comes in, kind of like a weird off-screen tag team. You want them to both leave. It's not a great game. Very high on the list for most letdown of an NES game would be Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure. I remember seeing this in Nintendo Power. I loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I saw it in the movie theater probably 5 or 6 times when it first came out. The first part makes just about 0 sense of why you would even need this part. And then when you're playing the game, again, I saw the Nintendo Power things, and like I thought the graphics looked fantastic. Huge maps. And that's about where it ends. Sometimes you can't really tell what you're doing or where you're going or what you're supposed to do or what the items do. And you figure that out too, sure. But then there's some things that don't make sense where it's like you can walk on the grass but not all of it. Like you can jump in certain areas but not everywhere. And doesn't really let you know where exactly. And then it's like, oh, I'm supposed to talk to a guy? Nope, you can get arrested. And then when you're arrested, you just like walk out, like leave. Lame! But yeah, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, traveling all the time through space and whatever, but, you know. Alright, good luck, Bill and Ted. I'm not Bill or Ted, but I do a lot of traveling myself. And it's so easy to gas up and grab some road trip snacks, which are always overpriced and they're never good for you. And I'm trying to make a change to that, and that's why my friends at Thrive Market are gonna help me out. Oh, if I can carry this box. Oy! Our friends at Thrive Market, they're an online membership-based grocery store. High quality, healthy, affordable, and delivered right to your front door. On a mission to make sure healthy and sustainable living easy and affordable for everyone, so much so they even accept SNAP EBT. Let me show you some of the road trip snacks I just picked up through Thrive. Well, it's cool too, they don't just do food, they also do like health and beauty supplies like makeup. You have like baby supplies, there's supplements, like household cleaning supplies. I actually gotta get some more dishwasher detergent too. Got these Siete grain-free cookies, Mexican wedding. I'm not even getting married. How'd I get away with this? Nope. I like how Kirby, the arm with the Kirby tattoo is the one grabbing the cookies.
Never!
These are the ultimate road trip snack. Always gotta go with the chomps here. These are the chomplings. Not for the road, but for the freezer. And check it, 100% fruit juice, the way to go. It's not just like sugar water. This is the Thrive Market brand organic applesauce in the little packs. My kids are in their late teens, and these convenient applesauce packs, perfect for the road trip. Jay.
Yep.
I got your favorite. There we go. Just like that. And nothing better on a hot summer day than Olipop root beer. Gotta go for it. Oh, we saw some dancing in the background. I saw it. I don't know, you didn't see it. I saw dancing from my kids in the background.
I like Olipop.
I know you like Olipop. All right, well, they have a lot more flavors than just root beer. We'll get some of the other ones next time too.
Are you opening up yours already?
Yeah.
I'm opening up mine already too.
I want applesauce.
Got the road trip snacks, they're taken care of. You'll be taken care of as well with Thrive Market. Click my link in the description box or check out thrivemarket.com/John Riggs. You'll save 30% on your first order and a free gift. A free gift when you join Thrive Market today. Swamp Thing, another game that could have been cool. I think that graphics in this game are actually really good. Well, especially that, opening scenes and the cutscenes and stuff like that too. The rest of it, not so much. The rest of it is just things annoy you, things attack you and hit you when you don't even want them to, especially for this first stage. If this was like later in the levels, like if this was like the 4th or 5th stage, it might make a little bit more sense. But the very first stage, you're doing that, and what also bugs me is the sound effects from Bart versus the Space Mutants are the same sound effects in this game. Really rubs it in, where it's just like, oh, I hated that game too. Bart and the Space Mutants did not make this list, by the way. However, the sound effects did. And that's bad news for me. Wouldn't quite be a 1-star list without some sports games, and I'll add a few of them on this list. 10-Yard Fight, gonna start it with that. I am personally offended that in the skill levels, it puts high school and college as not as desirable as professional playoff or Super Bowl. Have you been to a college football game? Especially in the South, college football is more revered than, like, the major leagues here. And I do love me, man, nothing finer than a game of high school football where everyone's on offense and the final score is like 78-93 or something like that. But on top of that, never mind all that, the game itself, it's just not great. It's not a great representation of football. And trust me, I'm not even the biggest football fan that there is. Football on my list probably comes 5th for favorite American sports. However, this is not a great version of it. Bases Loaded 3. I'm going to put Bases Loaded 3 on here, 3 specifically, and I'll show you why in just a moment. You choose your teams, you choose your thing. Up to bat, here we go. Looks like what it looks like on TV, and then the diamond is upside down. Now, if you're going to make a baseball game, make it with, you know, with this overhead view, the way it is on every other game, and not reversed. It confuses me. That's literally the only reason why I'm putting it on here. It's literally the only reason why it's a 1-star game for me, personally. I'll put NFL on here as well. Yeah, another football game. At least this one has characters. At least this one has, like, the teams you can choose from, like the Seahawks. Not that you want to play as the Seahawks during this time when this game came out, however. Root for the Seahawks, and there seems to be a weird loading screen between scenes. And that's what throws me off. It's like, okay, here we go, and then it's like, loading what? What are you loading? And then it just looks like this. You know, it's like, you loaded that? Really? From a cartridge? I mean, it's a cartridge. It shouldn't be any loading anyway, but there's in this game. The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. This was also on the other 1-star video. I will definitely agree that this is a 1-star game. Such a letdown, too. Nobody at my age was a bigger fan than Rocky and Bullwinkle. I used to deliver papers early in the morning, and Rocky and Bullwinkle was always like one of those cartoons that was on at like 5:30 just to fill in space, and I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle. And this cartoon and this video game, hey, I think the graphics are good. They look like, you know, simple cartoony graphics, just like the cartoon looked like when the cartoon was out in originally, what, the 60s? The 70s? Somewhere in there. When did Rocky and Bullwinkle come out? I don't remember. It originally aired 1959, good lord, and then it was more popularized through the 60s. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, this game's pretty terrible. They had a few Advanced Dungeons & Dragons games on the NES. I'm going to put Dragonlance Heroes of the Lance. It's Advanced Dragonlance Heroes of the Lance. A whole lot of ances in there. Now in this one, you're not like, the characters are already done, they're already made. Half the fun of AD&D, to me, I thought, was creating your characters. But this one, jump straight into it. The characters are already done, they're already made. I don't have a clue what I'm doing or where I'm going. I know I can jump, doesn't work. There are definitely doors that are available there, but not a really clear way of telling me where to go through. I know I have played this enough to go through a door, I just don't remember what button combination I pressed, apparently, because it's not just up or down. You do have to hold the A button hit down to duck, which is also not allowed in Nintendo games. Next. American Gladiators. Man, I loved American Gladiators. That was the show that came on after your Saturday morning cartoons. And you're like, well, this is already on. I guess I'm just going to watch this for a while. And I liked it quite a bit. And the NES version, trust me, even as a 1-star game, I actually don't think it's a terrible game, but it's a 1-star game because there's no atmosphere. And you watched American Gladiators because you wanted to have your own personal atmosphere. Now, the Super Nintendo version, and I believe the Genesis version, sure, there's an atmosphere on there, but the NES version, it's also weird because it's like they're inspired by, like the games you can play on here are like on the show, but the NES version of those levels are inspired by those things, so it's not exactly the same thing, but kind of. That makes sense? Yeah. And this Scream is in here too. Yeah, just there's that. Oh, let's talk about Athena. Hey, just because the game is playable doesn't mean it's not a 1-star game. Your introduction is this sound. You already think the game is broken. The very first time you play this, you already think you broke the game. And no, just it's supposed to sound like that. I loved the fact that you could actually steal their weapons. You can steal their weapons, you get their armor, whatever it is. There's that thing like where one of the first mushrooms you hit like, what is it, down or something like that, and you start off like, then you're all super buff for a little while. This game just seems like it's unfinished. This game plays like a prototype for what could have been good. Somebody can take this game, not me. Someone smarter than me. Somebody can 100% absolutely take this game and maybe hack it to make it a little bit more playable, a little bit more bearable. The arcade version's not bad. I have the arcade version on my SNK Switch collection. It was like the 40 years of SNK, whatever that thing is called. You know, and that's actually not a terrible game. This is the NES version, I get that. However, it could have been fixed, and, you know, but we didn't, so 1 star, here we go. George Foreman's KO Boxing. Well, it's a 1-star game because it's not Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Let's be honest here. George Foreman was like, oh my god, he's so old, he's 43. I was like, oh man. I've got a couple years. I'm a couple years past 43. Wait a minute. What am I doing with my life? The idea that you just punch and hope that you don't get punched back, or you block and you hope that you're blocking a punch or something like that. There's not a whole lot of sign or tell of what's going on here. You just go for the best. And maybe that's what George Foreman is all about. Anyway, thanks for the grill. Back to the Future 2 and 3. The first Back to the Future game I would not put on this list. I actually think it's, you know, it has a merit for what it is. This one, not so much. This one's just confusing, it's weird, has nothing to do with the movies. This game could have been called anything else. This game could have been called Future Boy, or it could have been called, I don't know, Random Dude 2025. I don't, whatever, doesn't matter. Either way, terrible game. Terrible game. And no sense of direction in this game either. You just go for it. Oh, Castilian, look at this guy. Good lord, look at this guy. This game can be fun, but the first time you play it, you are guaranteed to die in that first thing because there's nothing telling you that it's going to disintegrate on you. You just have to already know that. And it doesn't matter because it's just going to happen. Now, you can play this game beyond that if you want to. For me, I will click the B button and move on to the next game. Unfortunately, that game is Cliffhanger. Now, again, Cliffhanger, it's another one of those games you can get into. I will harken back to Bart Simpson versus the Space Mutants. Not the best play controls of a game, but you can kind of get used to them and kind of play the game. Kind of. This game is a little bit like that too, but why would you want to? You can run, you can jump, you can attack, punch, kick, whatever. And then there's certain parts of the game where it's like, well, no, I'm supposed to do a certain thing, but it's not letting me do the thing I need to do, which is crossing this rope here, to make this work, to make it playable, to get past this first little part here. And there's a way you can do it, and I've done it before. But you wouldn't know that. Especially with this playthrough. As we move on to Orb 3D. I just talked about Orb 3D not too long ago on this channel. And Orb 3D, again, it's another one of those confusing, like, what am I supposed to do? You hit the button, and then the orb either goes behind you or in front of you, and you have to hit the button to make it, you know, to pop all these bubbles, to hit all these orbs. And then, of course, along the way, there's like, oh, hey, you're running out of gasoline or fuel. I was like, there's fuel involved? That's a weird thing to put in there, too. Why don't you just have, like, a life bar? You don't need, like, fuel. What are you, a spaceship? I don't know. Color a Dinosaur. Now, originally, I wasn't going to put in, like, the kids' games, even though I don't think any kids' games are 1 star, or things like the Miracle Piano, or things like Stack Up. You know, it's like, well, you know, I wasn't going to include those just by nature of they're not, you know, a thing that anyone would play. But Color a Dinosaur, I'll throw in there, because this is the game. You select which dinosaur you want to color, and then you choose the colors, or the palette as well. You can choose the palette. You choose the colors, and then everything is the fill plate. You don't actually draw or anything. You just fill in the colors to color a dinosaur. People paid money for this, and now as a collector, people pay a lot of money for this. And if I'm going to talk about Color a Dinosaur, I will also include Videomation. Videomation is one that's a lot more affordable. Not that you want to afford it. It does have the ability to draw Mario Paint-ish a little bit. Mario Paint-ish, barely. And then there's a couple of little animations that you can put in there. So if you want to, you know, make a cityscape and have it be like a car going around, or you know, there's that, and baby crawling around. Sure, why not? Videomation, 1 star. Overlord, 1 star. This game looks like it would be super cool. I bet it came from like a computer game or something. The only problem is, again, the confusion of, I don't know what I'm doing. What do these buttons do? Where am I going? This little, like, sphere thing, that's super cool. I love that. But the rest of the game, what am I doing? Ah, help! What am I going? Yeah, see, I want to pop in anything else, and plop it in too while I'm at it. What if I popped in Destination Earthstar next? Now this could be a good game, but it's a 1-star game because it's also a little confusing, little like what am I supposed to be doing? You have your little grid in the corner. I've seen games that use something similar to this, so you're like, okay, well, I can kind of figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to go to where the number 2 is. And there might be like 2 spaceships there. Turns out there kind of is. And then, but trying to track on and find the other enemy to shoot down is just a chore. So why would I want to do this to myself? I mean, I like sci-fi stuff as much as anyone, but not enough to play this game. I want to add a hook to this too. From Ocean, trust me, everyone talks about LJN. Maybe even THQ. But for me, Ocean is that company on the NES where you're like, oh, it's an Ocean game. Although Darkman was kind of okay. RoboCop games was kind of okay. This one's rough because look at the hit detection here. And that's what I want you to pay attention to is, yeah, I'm Peter Pan, and, or Peter Banning. No, I'm Peter Pan in this. But I'm totally stabbing him, and he's not dying. And he finally does go eventually, but it's like, the hit detection a huge turnoff for me on this game. So I can't do it. I can't do it. Muscle, man, I knew I was gonna have at least a wrestling game on this list. And the other wrestling games, I still pop in every once in a while, kind of. But this one is one I look at, I'm like, yeah, I remember. Yeah, has nothing to do with wrestling. And you just bounce around, you attack the other guy, couple of moves, doesn't matter who you play as. Not a fun experience. For some reason, this is one of those games that's kind of going up in price a little bit. You know, where I'm like, I see it and it's like 30, 40 bucks, whatever it's going for. I think it's something like 30 bucks. I'm like, why? Well, I don't know. It's muscle and it's a 1-star for me. And what's a 1-star game for you? You let me know in the comments. We got more 1-star games. We got more 5-star games. You can check out the 5-star game video in the meantime. I've also looked at 1-star and 5-star games for like Genesis, Master System, so many more too. Super Nintendo as well. And we got a whole lot more coming up too. So make sure you're subscribed and we'll see you again real soon, I hope.